methods that we talked about on Tuesday. This is from Tuesday. So we talked about the first thing that you always look for is GCF. We all know what GCF means?
Greatest common factor.
Greatest common factor. So that's the first thing that we check for. We check for greatest common factor. And then once we checked our greatest common factor, the next one that we talked about was difference of squares. So we check to see if we have a subtraction problem. So one of the things, in the last set of notes that I gave you, we have a graphic organizer in the back. So you can write down all the information that pertains to the different types or the different methods of solving or factoring so that you can use it when we do have a test. So you can write it down on there. So for difference of squares, we know that we have to have a subtraction problem. That's the first thing. Second thing is we have to have how many terms? Two. If we have more than 2 terms, we can't factor by difference of squares. And then we have to have perfect squares. So those are the 3 things that we need to have to do difference of squares. All right? So let's take a look at some of these examples and you can tell me which method we will use. Greatest common factor or difference of squares? Which one? Go ahead.
I believe greatest common factor.
Greatest common factor. Why greatest common factor? And what's the common factor here?
8.
8. So if we take 8 out, we end up with x plus 3. So if we factor this, it's 8 times x plus 3. Very good, Chris. Wonderful. Yes, lead the board. Chris? All right, what about this one?
Lead the board.
That's
No? Oh, yes.
DOS?
DOS? All right, so if we work it out DOS, what do we get?
What is DOS?
Remember, we have a plus b times a minus b. So when we work it out, what do we get as our solution?
That's gonna be
And what's difference of squares? What's the square root of 64? It's 8 x squared x, and then what's the square root of 1?
Square root of 1 is 1.
The square root of 1 is 1. So that's our a and our b. A and this is b. So we write it as 8x minus 1 or 8x plus 1 times 8x minus 1. All right? Hey, Devin.
Why?
My bad.
Yeah.
Why? Because you just did the reverse of the square.
Can I get that, please?
So this is what?
You got
It's not on the head.
Wait a minute. Say the question again.
because you got the 8 by like doing the opposite.
No, I got the 8 by doing the square root.
What is
Yeah, that's
DOS
what I'm
mean?
saying.
Yeah.
Because you know square is square root.
Yeah. So the square root of 64 x squared. So, and it's a subtraction problem, so we can do different of squares. All right. What about this one?
DOS.
We can do DOS, but not right now.
Greatest common factor.
Can
We
I
have
get
to
a
do
pencil,
both.
James?
So we do greatest common factor first, and then we do difference of squares. What's our greatest common factor between 8 and 50?
Stop, why did you always do that?
I was going to see if you want to say something.
2. So the first thing we do is take 2 out.
I keep doing it.
We end up with 4x
I
squared
will, I mean.
minus 25,
paper in the
and then we can do our difference of squares. So our a will be 2x, our b will be 5.
Pencil.
So we're going to end up with 2x plus 5, and then 2x minus 5,
Hey,
with the 2 on the outside. Yes,
where
sir.
did you get 5 from?
The square root of 25.
Oh,
Did he go up to adjusted?
All right?
good.
I'm low. That's if this was a test, that's what we have to simplify to.
Yes, you simplified to this. This is what you factored to.
You have to put the plus side and the minus side.
Yes, because remember, when we're writing our difference of squares, and the same thing we talked about when we did absolute value. Remember that, you know, there are 2 roots of a square root, right? When we have a square root of a even number, or a square root, when we have a square root, let's say the square root of 16. What's the square root of 16?
8.
Nope.
4.
4.
Of course.
But not just 4, because we could multiply 4 times 4. We could also multiply -4 times -4. right? To get the same 16. So that's why we have it written as plus and minus. When you're factoring, you write your answer as A plus B times A minus B. Because when you do your multiplication, you're gonna you won't end up with a middle term. Right? You'll end up with just two terms. Alright? Alright, so here's one more. Here's one more. 4x squared plus 25. Which one? Greatest common factor of different squares.
Y'all had 31 today.
Where do we have a difference? What has to happen with a difference of squares? It has to be a subtraction problem. So here, what do we do here?
Different square.
Can we factor out 4 from 25?
No.
So guess what?
That's the problem done.
The problem is done. There's nothing you can do with that problem.
I don't understand.
Yes, ma'am. I understand that you were absent the last class, and that's so we'll have to have a discussion on the on the side. All right. So that's greatest common factor and difference of squares. Today we're going to talk about factoring trinomials. First of all, what's a trinomial? Three what? Trinomials? What's a nomial? What's a monomial? Right. A term. Very good. So we're looking at hold on. Mr. Jacob, you see that group right there? We need to let's move around.
Oh, no, I wasn't even talking. That's not even us,
I'm
dog.
not going to be able to talk today.
What are you talking about?
But we wasn't even talking just now. My mother, boy, we wasn't talking.
You wasn't talking, but
We
Mr.
talking
Wallace
about
and Ms.
grade.
Scott-
Talking about greatest
Well,
class.
yeah, well, I'm talking right now, so I need you all to move.
Mr. Law. Mr. Law.
Yeah. Oh, you need one?
I got one.
Yes, question.
Can you tell Joshua to scoot back? His head kind of high.
You alright, Joshua? Can you scoot back a little bit so that she can see? Hey, it's not about that, it's just, let her just see. Yeah, I can. In fact, just reach behind you, it's right on there.
Alright, I tried the responsible way and I tried the respectful.
Yeah, and I'm handling it. Alright? So, and can you pass one to Shakira also, please?
That's what the I got a packet, though. Thank you. I got that. Oh.
But Joshua, just scoot back a little bit so she can see. On your chair. Because if you sit in the same position, you just move the desk.
Look at it, man.
Good enough?
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Alright, so
Appreciate that.
here we talk about factoring trinomials. And we talked about the trinomials, we have 3 terms.
Can I get a
So by the end of the lesson, we're going to be able to factor trinomials in order to rewrite algebraic expressions. Alright, so remember that when we talk about factoring, we're talking about rewriting the polynomial in a multiplication problem. Alright, so our first method is one that where we're doing
Where did the code
where the trinomial comes out to look like this. So what I want you to do, we've done this before, so real quickly, multiply these two for me and get me the solution.
X squared plus A.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks.
Let everybody know. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. What she didn't finish. Just go ahead. Everybody do
It's
it.
so funny
And let's see what we get.
Cause she got
She probably did the whole thing.
You had to be there.
Okay.
So just.
You gotta be there. You are saying.
You wait. Alright, y'all see how she. Oh, so this like this? So alright, that's 2x squared, right? I mean that's x squared.
That.
One is 2x. Oh, alright, she wrong. Alright, I don't need to tell me your answer. I just. And then do x times 5, so that's be plus 5x, right?
Alright, so now what you do?
That's 3x.
Alright, so what did we get when we multiplied? Remember when we multiply everything in our parentheses, and they call this the FOIL method. Everything in our parentheses, in our first parentheses by our second parentheses. Alright, so what did we get as our solution?
X squared.
Okay, so we got x squared.
Plus,
Uh-huh.
plus 5x.
Plus 5x?
8x.
No, go ahead. No, plus 5x, and then what?
Plus 3x.
Plus 3x.
Plus 3x. Plus 15.
So we got plus 5x, plus 3x, plus 15. So, yeah, there you go, Ethan. So what can we do in the middle? We can do what? Combine like terms. So we're going to get x squared plus 8x plus 15. Alright, so the question is, where did we get the coefficient for our middle term? The coefficient, remember, is the 8. Where did we get the 8 for the middle term?
From adding the 5x plus.
We add the 5 and the 3. So immediately now you can see that if we add the 5 and the 3, we get our middle term. Where did we get our the end term? The 15. If you multiply the 5 and the 3. Alright, so here we add. And this is 5 times 3. So that's where we get our two terms from. So with that information, what we're going to do now is we're going to see how the process of factoring.
So that's the answer, Bob?
Yeah, we're going to see how the process really comes into play and how easy it is once we have that information. Alright, so here we go. So here, how do we factor? So the first thing we draw our two sets of parentheses. Alright, when we have our problem, we draw our two sets of parentheses.
We're supposed to layer.
And then write an x as the first term in each parenthesis. Then we're going to find two numbers that when we multiply them together, we get the last term. When we add them together, we get the middle term. So you see how it works. Alright, so we're going to multiply to get our last term, add to get the middle term. You figured out number 1? Yeah. To get 6, but when we add together, we get 5. 2 and 3. 2 and 3. So multiply to get 6, add together to get 5. So our two numbers are 2 and 3. So when we're writing our, when we factor them out,
just do this?
it's positive 2 and positive 3. So we're going to put plus 2 plus 3. And that's our solution.
I don't belong in this class.
How you get that? I'm just like, I'm lost though.
I got number 3. Number 3 is
We want two numbers. When we multiply them together, get 6. And when we add them together, get 5. What are the factors of 6? 2 and 3. When we add 2 and 3 together, we get
Alright, can you come explain it to me? So this always gonna be the John, he wasn't even talking to me, bro. I called him.
What you're trying to do is get two numbers. When we multiply them together, get 6. So we look for the two factors of 6. What are those? Two numbers that will give you 6, right? 3 and 2. When we add them together, we get 5. So, right?
So
4. What are the two numbers? When multiplied together gives us negative 5? 5
and 1.
It's going to be, we want to get negative 5, and we want to get 4. So it is 5 and negative 1. Why is it negative 1? Why is the 1 negative? Because if you look at the middle term, you see we have the positive number is bigger, right? Or it's a positive number in the middle. If it's a positive number in the middle, that means the bigger number is positive. If it's a negative number in the middle, that means our bigger number is negative. Y'all understand what I just said? Alright, so when we multiply these two numbers together, 5 and negative 1, we get negative 5. When we add them together, we have to get 4. So 5 minus 1 gives us 4. So the bigger number is positive. So now if this were a negative number, then the bigger number would be negative. So we have to look at the sign of the middle number to see which number, when we multiply, when we have a positive, when we multiply a positive and a negative number, to see which one is the bigger number. So you're right. So our numbers are 5 and negative 1, so we write it as x minus 1, x plus 5. And those are our factors. And that's our solution.
It doesn't matter which way it goes.
It doesn't matter which way you go, because you're still multiplying it out at the end, right? To get that polynomial.
Let's go to number 3.
You got it? All right, number 3.
It's negative 5. What?
I don't know.
It's negative 5 and negative 2.
So two numbers when multiplied together gives us positive negative 5 and negative 2. Why? Because remember, when we multiply a negative times a negative, we get a positive. When we add two negatives, what do we get? A negative. So we want to get 10. Only one person got it?
Well, you get 1. Pulling up to 4.
Hey.
That is a 4.
So yeah, what you get?
You got 4 and you got 1.
Negative 4 and 3? Negative 4, negative 3. I mean negative 4, positive 3. Because you have negative 12. You have negative 1. So remember what I said, the bigger number has to be the negative number. What two numbers give you 12? 4 and 3. So you want to get negative 12, negative 1. So your answer is x minus 4 times x plus 3.
X.
They got all that.
They say you look like an anchovy. You see the one that be in the background.
Where did you get this?
I'm confused. Why did you confuse me?
Oh, why are you recording?
I'm sorry, I confused you.
You don't like this to organize with
I'm not even playing with nobody.
Call my work. Bam.
So you copy everything off me?
I definitely did not copy nothing off you. I did have to this by myself. You only helped me with the ones that we was doing on the board when I said, is this take away 5? Just to keep recording my work.
I need some help.
Your face is not on there, so just work it out.
It's not like, if it's like,
Hey.
is this right? This right?
He just told, I think he told.
That's right. Oh, I did it all by myself.
Yeah.
There's a missing space.
How?
Did you just say ask him why you don't want to?
I guess. Because look, these two the answers right here.
Remember you said the Lord.
Alright, I did my 2 problems.
Where's Candy at? What's not that?
No, these has a 2. These has a 2, not a 5.
What?
Where's my?
Oh yeah, that's not
See if you find this equation.
Oh, it's right.
2x minus 6 left.
Yes, these one.
Is it? 3x squared minus 5x2. Minus 2.
No, this is 24.
Oh, I love. Just cut it off my paper. Cut it off my paper. For real.
No, because maybe already.
It's only 3 on the one with just 3 on it. Well, how many is it? It's supposed to be 16. Right?
They missed a lot. Let me out.
Hey.
Oh, you see 2x squared plus 7 plus 6.
I see it.
It's right here.
She gonna see him especially.
It's right here.
It's so confusing. It might be on the board
Hey.
already.
I got a real blower.
X plus 3.
You mean you got
Minus 5.
You just said it, Joe.
Right here. Like I said.
I remember it was on my house. I mean, now my house is on my man.
Squared minus 2x. I mean minus 17. Like 15 right here. Oh, here you go. Alright, so that go to
I
that.
remember I seen them jumping every day.
I try to see this one.
So many places.
X squared. We looking up here over there. Oh, right here.